What's going on, everybody? This is Phil Wright, and you are listening to Phil Wright and Friends podcast, where we have positive conversations about life. I'm so excited. This is episode 1, and I just want to thank you all for taking time out to just tune in and listen. This is number 1 of many. We're going to be talking to different people about their journey, about their life. You may laugh, you may cry, you may be motivated. The whole goal is for people to be inspired after they listen to this podcast. So I am really excited about it, and I can't wait to for you all to hear some of these amazing interviews that we have planned. It's been in the works for about 2 years now, and we'll talk about that a little later, and even more about my journey. But this week, we're going to start off episode 1 with an interview that's actually from 2012. That's right, 2012. I'm going to give you a little backstory before we go into it. In 2012, I got hit up about doing an interview with the gospel legend Joe Ligon. Joe Ligon from the Mighty Clouds of Joy. He's a legend. For those of you who don't know, the Mighty Clouds were the first gospel artists on Soul Train, one of the first crossover acts. They opened for artists like the Rolling Stones and Aretha Franklin and Marvin Gaye, Radio City Music, all those places. They've traveled the globe nationally, internationally, locally, everywhere. So, when I got the call to do this interview with this legend, I was really excited, but I was still nervous. I'm not going to lie. I was nervous, and you probably going to hear it in the interview. So I got to do this interview with this legend, and guys, they were going to play my interview at a local concert where they were giving him a Lifetime Achievement Award. So that in myself, I'm like, man, I get to do this interview. People are going to get to hear it. They're going to get to hear me and talking with the legendary Joe Ligon. So I was really excited. The day of the concert comes, I'm doing a sound check with the artist who's performing, who's opening up the show as well. And so they play my interview. I hear Joe Ligon's voice. And guess what? They took my voice off. They took my voice and replaced it with a local radio personality. And I ain't tripping. It's all good. But I got the original, and y'all going to hear it today. Here's episode 1 as well. Make sure you're following us on social media at Phil Wright Podcast. I got my personal page, P Wright Music. Phil Mill is my chef page. And I also host this amazing live music experience in the upstate of South Carolina called Cafe Joel Experience. So you can find us at Cafe Joel Music. Feel free to email us at philwrightfriends@gmail. Follow us on YouTube at Phil Wright TV. You can see those interviews on there as well. So many great things coming up. I'm excited. Here's episode 1 from 2012 with the legendary, the GOAT, Joe Ligon. Hello, everybody. This is Phil Wright here, and I'm on the phone with the legendary Mr. Joe Ligon. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine today, Phil. How you doing?
I am doing great. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into the interview. So tell me about Joe Ligon. Who is he?
Well, Joe Ligon is a gentleman who came on the road in 1961 with the Mighty Clouds of Joy, and we've traveled the world, 18 foreign countries, and all over America many times. And this year being 52 years, I've been on the road singing good old gospel music with the Mighty Clouds of Joy, and I still love it, and I still get excited about it.
Wow.
That's who Joe Ligon is.
Wow. So tell me, what artists did you listen to growing up?
Growing up, it was just traditional gospel CDs being put out. And my favorite in gospel was the Reverend Julius Cheeks, who was the lead singer for the Sensational Nightingale. He was one of my diehard favorites. And also, I admired a couple of other guys that I thought was great. Archie Brownlee with the Mississippi Blind Boys, and the late Sam Cooke with the Soul Stirrers. So I had three great singers to borrow from and listen to and pattern my style and my career after. And those were the three guys, the late Sam Cooke, the late Reverend Julius Cheeks, and Archie Brownlee of the Mississippi Blind Boys. I was able to meet all of them, talk to them, get points from them, and just go on with my career. And I think that helped to make my career be as good as it was, because I had great teachers and great people to pattern my career after.
Great. Yeah, you said it's been 52 years since the Mighty Clouds of Joy have been singing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Professionally, 52 years, and we actually sang local for 4 or 5 years. Local around in Los Angeles, because we were the local group that would open up all the programs for all the major groups that came to L.A.
Wow.
In 61, we decided to try to get on a major label, and we were able to do that at Peacock Records down in Houston, Texas. And the rest is a lot of good history.
That's great. So you've seen the transition of music throughout the years. Considering that you've been on the scene for 52 years, who would you say are some of the artists that you listen to today?
Some of the artists that I listen to today?
Yes, sir.
Well, I listen to all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to hear what everybody's doing, and that gives me a direction. Mm-hmm. as which way I want to go. I saw the change, yes, in gospel music. Not only did I see the change, I was one of the groups who helped change the trend of gospel music from traditional to contemporary.
Right.
I went on Soul Train when gospel groups just didn't go on Soul Train.
Matter of fact, y'all were the first artists to go on Soul Train. I
think we were first. I really do. I think we were first, because I think when the Staple Singers went, they had really stopped singing gospel and had started doing R&B. So for the gospel, I think we were the first two gospel artists to perform on Soul Train. And we performed songs, or a song. I don't think we did but one. We did two. And my father at that time was living, and he got kind of upset with me because when we did time, all we needed just a little more time. The kids danced. They had a dance that they did. And I think they might have formed a Soul Train line, but I know they danced.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people got nervous because they thought we were leaving traditional gospel. They thought we were headed in the R&B the field too, like the Staple Singers did. But we never planned. I never had intentions to sing nothing but gospel music. We just saw that trend coming in. And we did contemporary before Kurt Franklin, before Mary, before most groups. The Winans, Andre Crouch, and all those people, the Hawkins. Mm-hmm. We were one of the first groups. I know we were the first quartet to do it, because the quartet was actually afraid to do contemporary. Mm-hmm. They thought that the people were going to call them sellouts, so they kind of stayed away from it. But we have always been a daring group and a trailblazer type group, and we jumped on it.
Yeah, and I believe the breakout song was "Mighty High," right? Mighty High was
Ride the Mighty High. That's right. That's one of the songs we did on Soul Train.
Wow. And considering that you all were the first to really take the contemporary gospel movement to mainstream. What do you think has changed over the years from back when y'all did Ride the Mighty High to now's contemporary music?
Well, I don't see that much of a change, except for the sound.
Mm-hmm.
The sound is a lot different, because when we did contemporary, we watched the lyrics, the words that we use. And if somebody wrote a contemporary song for the Mighty Clouds, if we didn't like it, or if we thought it was too far out, or if we thought people were going to get the wrong idea, we wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, believe it or not, there were people like Motown who tried to influence. We were friends to the Temptations and the OJs and all those people. And they was kind of coached to kind of talk to us, to get us to come all the way over there where they were,
mm-hmm.
which I never would do. Some of my guys was kind of, in the original Clouds, some of them was kind of interested in it. But they know that I wouldn't do it, so they just passed it on out, on by, and let it stay like it was.
Wow.
Because at that time, the kind of contemporary that I hear now, some of those songs we wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
We would do contemporary as long as it was clean.
Right.
Real clean.
Right. Wow.
That's the difference in the sound that I've seen since I started 52 years ago.
52 years is a long time to be doing gospel music. I'm sure you've met a lot of people and had the opportunity to perform with a lot of people. Who are some of the people that you had the opportunity to perform with over the years?
Over the years, I performed with people like my god sister, Aretha Franklin.
Wow.
James Brown, Marvin Gaye, Paul Simon, Simon and Garfunkel. I opened shows for the Rolling Stones. Like, was one of the scariest moments in my life when I know I had to sing to the Rolling Stones crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to go there to Washington, D.C., I think it was, or Maryland, somewhere in that area, and do songs on the Rolling Stones concert and be accepted. So I perform with some of the biggest and best in R&B. I performed for a whole week with Marvin Gaye
mm-hmm.
at Radio City Music Hall.
Wow.
Minnie Riperton at Carnegie Hall. Or you name it. James Brown at Madison Square Garden. Simon and Garfunkel at Madison Square Garden. I performed with B.B. King, Johnny Cash, Ray Charles.
Wow.
You name it. I've been there and I've done it. I've done it all.
Wow.
I'm just happy to still be around after all those years.
Wow. What an awesome group of people to share the stage with over years. So tell me, your name, the Mighty Clouds of Joy, is such a unique name, and it just really sticks. Tell me, where did the name the Mighty Clouds of Joy come from?
There was an elderly man in Los Angeles in around 1954. They had a group that sang around in Los Angeles. They never did make a record or anything. And they were called Clouds of Joy.
Mm-hmm.
So the old man that got us Joy was just a normal name.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to call y'all the Mighty Cloud of Joy. And then they started calling us the Mighty Untouchable Clouds of Joy.
Well, that name fits.
Yeah, well, it was a great name, and it stuck, and we tried to live up to it, and I think we have through the years.
Most definitely. You've definitely lived up to that name. So tell me about the current group, the Mighty Clouds of Joy. Tell me, which one of your members stands out now?
Well, actually, my drummer, he's been with me 36 years. Actually, it's three of them that kind of stand out, because my tenor singer, we call him fifth singer, he's been with me 20 years. And my second lead singer has been with me 17 years.
Wow.
So those three kind of stand out.
Wow.
The newer members of the bass player, keyboard player, and guitar player.
Wow. Great.
They're super, but they don't stand out like the rest of the guys.
Tell me about some of the hurdles you had to overcome growing up in Alabama.
Well, actually, most of the hurdles that I had to jump over came when I went on the road. Because I went on the road at a time when Dr. Martin Luther King was marching and things was happening. I saw the dogs being put on him and the water hose being put on him and him being locked up. See, we went on the road in 1961. In 1961, if you went to a Holiday Inn and you had the money to check in, they might tell you could walk around that hotel and you could see empty rooms. But they might tell you, because you were black, that they were full, that they didn't have any room.
Wow.
We experienced that.
Wow.
We also experienced having certain restrooms that we could go in, certain restrooms that had white only, we couldn't go in. And I remember one incident. One of my guys got out of the car accidentally, and we'd been riding all night. He was sleeping, and he didn't observe the sign that said white only, and he went in the wrong restroom. And one of the gentlemen came out of that service station office and pulled a gun on him. And I had to go to that service station owner, and me coming from Alabama, I know that they wanted you to bow down to them and be second to them. So I was one of the singers in my group who were not afraid to go to that white gentleman and said, "Mister, he was half asleep and he made a mistake. He didn't mean any harm. Please don't shoot him." I experienced that. And I experienced when we would stop at different restaurants that we couldn't go in the front door. If we wanted a sandwich or a meal, we had to go around to the back and order from the back. And they pass it to us out the window or out the door. I experienced all of that.
So you've seen the transitions over the years from 1961 to 2012. So I know it feels great to see how far we've come as African Americans, especially as music ministers as well.
That's right. That's right. I was shocked when Obama ran for president. And coming from the environment that I came from, I never believed that could ever happen. So now, I had a radio show for a while. I was going to start another one pretty soon. When Obama got in, I played A Change Is Gonna Come. And when I got through playing that Sam Cooke record, him being a personal friend of mine, I said to him on the air, "Sam, that the change is not going to come. The change is here. And I wish you were still here to see what you visualized and what you sang about before you left this earth. The change is not going to come. The change is already here."
That's great, and especially considering that you had the opportunity to sing and work with Sam Cooke over the years. I know it had to be a special moment to experience that. As far as your music, we understand that you and the Mighty Clouds have won so many different awards. I believe 3 Grammys. What are some of the awards that you all have won over the years?
Well, over the years, we've been given just about a key to every city you can think of.
Wow.
We've won about 5 or 6 Stellas, and I think we were the first quartet to win a Grammy on our own before the Alabama Blind Boys. We've been nominated for the Grammy 11 times, and 3 times we brought it home.
What would you say is your greatest accomplishment as a gospel singer?
President Carter called us to come to the White House and sing. To me, when we stood on the lawn of the White House and sang for President Carter and his wife, in my mind, I visualized this little guy from Troy, Alabama has finally made it. I'm here singing for the President of the United States of America. That was one of the highlights of my career.
Just to get the call to go to the White House, that had to be an honor. I grew up listening to your music, and the thing that I like most about the Mighty Clouds of Joy, you have the traditional foot-stomping quartet music, but a lot of people don't know that you all have worked with some of the great producers such as Fred Hammond, J. Moss, and I believe it was the CD y'all did called "It Was You."
Right.
Yeah, and that was one of my favorites because I of course I love the traditional Clouds music. But how was it to work with producers like J. Moss and Fred Hammond and people like that?
Well, they were nervous. They were nervous because Fred Hammond said to me, "Yo, just do what you feel that you want to do." He said, "I'm Fred Hammond. How can I produce you?" I said, "You can. Your record company has picked you to produce the Mighty Clouds of Joy. Tell me your ideas and what you want and what you like, and that's what I'm going to do."
Yeah.
He looked at himself as being actually not big enough to produce me. But when I told him that I came to be produced by him, that we trusted his ability, then he was all right. Same thing with J. Moss. J. Moss would sit down with me out, not in the studio, outside the studio, and we would just talk, and he would get my ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would go back in the studio and come up with concepts of how we were going to do things.
Wow.
But both of those guys thought that I was too big, that I actually was bigger than they were, and more important in the gospel field than they were. And they were just elated to work with me. But before that, I worked with producers bigger than them, way bigger. Frank Wilson out of Los Angeles, who produced people like Temptation and Lenny Wilkins, and who was with Tower Power. He collaborated with some of the great producers, Norman Whitfield, and all those guys from Motown. Frank Wilson worked with them. He was huge. And there was another guy who produced the Jackson 5 named Freddie Perry.
Mm-hmm.
He was huge. He was actually bigger than Frank Wilson.
Wow.
We worked with him too. So we worked with some of the biggest producers, people that had produced Jackson 5, Supremes, and all of those folks, Temptations, Four Tops. We worked with those producers, and they was just happy to work with us because Reverend James Cleveland also produced us. So we work with, you name it. We've been in the company of the best and worked with the best.
Right. That's amazing right there to work with such producers and people of that caliber. So tell us about your family. Were you the only singer in your family, or do you come from a musical family?
I came from a musical family. I have two brothers who right now sing in groups in Los Angeles. Clarence Ligon is one of them. Thomas Ligon is the other one.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a family group, but I didn't stay home long enough. When I got to be a teenager, I knew that I had an uncle in Los Angeles, and I knew I had a better chance in show business if I went to California. Because people looked at California as a place of the stars. And I know I would meet the right people in Los Angeles, and I really did.
Wow.
But I had 6 brothers, and they all could sing. Mm-hmm. 2 of them were very good, very good.
Whenever you're not doing music, what's something that people would be surprised to know about you?
Well, I read a lot. And I watch movies. I like old movies. I used to bowl a little bit, but I don't bowl much anymore. I play dominoes on pastime. Mm-hmm.
Great. Got a few more questions, and we're going to get out of here. Tell us, what advice would you give today's up-and-coming artists?
Well, the first thing I would tell them, if they're going to get into gospel music, they got to love it. And they got to know that it's not going to always be easy. I remember there were times when I went on the road in the early part of my career. Promoter would invite us to sing for him. He'd tell us that he was going to do one thing. And when we got there, he would tell us he couldn't do it. And there were times when some of the fellas would say to me, well, Joe, let's go back home and get our jobs back. And I would say to them, let's keep on making records. It's going to get better. Right. I would say to an upcoming group, you got to love what you do. You got to be prepared for the valleys and the hills. Because you're going to go through the valleys and you're going to have to climb the hills to get where you want to get. So you've got to be able to say, I love what I do. If it gets rough or tough, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep on going. And I would say to them, put God first.
So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
I see myself as being actually bigger in the next 5 years than I am now. Because I'm looking forward to, I'm trying to secure a few parts in some movies.
Wow.
Aretha Franklin is my god sister, and she's in the process of doing her life story. Mm-hmm. And I play a great part in her life story because whoever plays her father will have to give me some recognition because her father, Reverend C.L. Franklin, the late great Reverend C.L. Franklin, I'll never be a preacher no greater. I don't care who he is or where he come from. He was the most preachingest man I have ever seen. He could preach and teach, and he took me on the road on one of my major tours years and years ago when I was a young man. And hopefully I might get a part in that movie, the life story of Aretha Franklin.
Great.
I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to singing some in some movies, doing some songs in some movies, maybe the soundtrack. I'm looking forward to that. So there's still a few things that I want to do.
So is there anything else we can expect from Joe Ligon and the Mighty Clouds over the next few years?
Well, you can expect a live CD we record in October the 13th in Decatur, Georgia. We started doing a medley of some of our old songs some time ago, and there is a record owner, MCJ Records, got very interested in some of them older songs and want to do a video on them and recording live with them. we're going to do that. And I think after that, do a CD or two for him. I'm looking forward to starting my own record label.
Great.
And record other groups that I hear that's trying to make it. That's not on a recording. That's not under a recording label.
So many great things coming up with Mr. Joe Ligon and the Mighty Clouds of Joy. One last question. What would you say is your favorite Mighty Clouds of Joy song?
I've been in the storm too long has to be my favorite. And a lot of time when people hear me say that, they want to know why is it my favorite. My favorite is because when Reverend James Cleveland wrote that song, I didn't want to record it. I didn't like the timing. And then I listened to what he was saying. It says, I've been in a storm too long, but it doesn't say, Lord, take me out of the storm. It says, just give me a little more time to pray.
Great.
And that's why we call that our signature song. I've been in the storm too long.
You heard it right there, Mr. Joe Ligon of the Mighty Clouds of Joy. We want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. We understand you'll be in Greenville, South Carolina very soon for Spirit Fest 2012. Well, they'll be honoring you there. So we're really looking forward to seeing you in Greenville, South Carolina. Anything you want to say to the people in South Carolina?
Yeah, I just want to thank them for thinking enough of me to honor me in Greenville, South Carolina. It's going to be a great day for me because I put a lot into my career, and I think for someone to take time to honor me, I've been honored before, and every time it's more exciting than the last time, and I'm looking forward to it and invite folks to come out, and I'll be glad to be there to be honored.
Well, you heard it right there, and that's all we have for you today.
All right. Thanks for talking with you.
Thank you, Mr. Ligon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. We'll see you later.